Good afternoon, everyone. Glad you're all here. Welcome to the March 5th meeting of Rotary Club of Louisville. Ken Salvaggi, honored to be your president. You know, we've lost some very special people in our Rotary family these past few months. Past president and truly one of our best presidents ever, Kevin Wardell, and his wife Linda were planning to come to our Rotary meeting last week, but he passed away unexpectedly that morning at his home. Celebration of life service will take place at 11 a.m. Thursday, March 19th at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church. Visitation will begin at 9:30 a.m. It's also the date of our Rotary Unsung Hero Celebration luncheon at noon at the River House. Whichever you choose to attend, you will be celebrating a Rotary hero. The ripple effects of Kevin's impact will continue for generations. Please join me in a moment of silence in his memory. Truly a very special guy. Providing our invitation today, Chris Buer, Vice Chair of the Rotary Foundation, the 2021-22 President of the Clarksville, Tennessee Rotary Club, and a Paul Harris Fellow, +2.
Thank you, Mr. President. If we can bow our heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for allowing us to gather together in this space in safety and after enjoying the blessings of success in our lives. Thank you for the gift of Rotary and this community which we are part of, this community which we must work to strengthen and work to ensure opportunities for success for future generations. In the words of Fred Rogers, we live in a world in which we need to share responsibility. It's easy to say it's not my child, not my community, not my world, not my problem. Then there are those who see the need and respond. I consider those people my heroes. Lord, let us lift these heroes up in prayer. Keep them strong-willed. Keep them in your grace. Keep them safe. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Chris. Now to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test is Henry Kuhn, the chair of the Service Projects Committee, and a Paul Harris Fellow, +1.
When I was asked to do this, I thought, well, I was trying to think of who taught me the Pledge of Allegiance, and I realized we started every class in grade school with the Pledge of Allegiance. So why don't we, today as we say the pledge, think of our experience in grade school and the teacher that would be very proud of us. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Henry. Rotarians, if you have a guest today, please come to the microphone. Introduce yourself as your guest. If guests, please stand at your seat. You're introduced.
Good morning. I'm Anne Marie Word. My guest today is Mr. Timothy Tweet. He is the founder and president of Proper Pilots, equipment and software to train pilots, student pilots, and currently in his funding round.
Hello, I'm Dave Grace. Tom Bonner and I have as our guest today Dino Singh, who originally is from Sarajevo. 25 years ago, this year, he designed the beautiful school on the Brooklawn campus, which you can see as you drive along the Waterton Expressway.
President Ken, fellow Rotarians, my name is Nick Garner. My guest today is Wendy Strout, a recent transplant to the Greater Louisville area and Deputy Director for State Campaigns for the Human Rights Campaign.
President Ken, I'm Rick Harnett, standing in this morning for our speaker to introduce her guest, Patricia Warlow, the Director of Development at Blueprint 502.
Welcome to all of our guests. Happy you're here today, and please visit the Rotary table. Lynn is there right now, and Coach Sherman will be there after our meeting. We have some Rotarians in the spotlight to celebrate. Corporate member Greater Louisville Lynn has joined forces with the Louisville Economic Development Alliance to form a new organization called One Louisville. CEO Trevor Paul will speak to our club April 23rd. Congratulations to Alice Bridges, being featured in a Courier Journal article for her role in transforming the Alberta O. Jones Park in West Louisville. Congratulations to Leanne also, Vice President of Development at the West End School, and Leanne Cunningham, Wealth Management Associate Morgan Stanley, on being selected for the Alice Houston Women's Leadership Program Class of 2026. Our next Rotary Honors Scholars Mentoring Session will be Tuesday, March 10th at Western High School and Wednesday, March 18th at Iroquois High School. Come out and celebrate with both our club and our President-elect Barbara Sexton Smith's honored at the LCCC annual meeting of Distinguished Leadership Awards March 18th. Celebrate this year's Rotary's Unsung Heroes at our weekly luncheon in 2 weeks, March 19th. It will be at River House. Serve a meal with us to the men in the Recenter Ministries Recovery Program Wednesday, March 25th at 5:30 p.m. Join us April 1st from 4:30 to 6:30 at River Green Cocktails for our next free Rotary Business Synergy Network event hosted by founder and CEO Dr. Danielle Mann, who spoke to our club back in November about her unique journey from GYN to GYN. Our weekly reading sessions with 8th grade boys at the West End School will be Mondays at 1:15 p.m. from April 13th until May 11th. We will be reading A Long Walk to Water. Books are provided, and you will be inspired by interaction with these bright young scholars. See Will Kuhnel or Rick Harnett for more information or to sign up. Rotary Spring Pulling at the Zoo will be Tuesday, April 14th from 4 to 6 at Zoo Vision. Rotary and Robert Chapman is sponsoring this event. We'll be giving away some bourbon to a lucky attendee. And we still have a few more spots left for Rotary Day at the Downs on Wednesday, April 29th. Scan the QR code to purchase tickets or look for the link on our website homepage. The program is being finalized for the district, or tri-district Rotary All-Star Conference at the Golf House May 8th and 9th. We will share more about the speakers, breakout sessions, and entertainment very soon. Tickets are a la carte for the pre-conference social activities Friday, as well as for both the luncheon and dinner Saturday. Our Habitat Build Day is Friday, May 15th, and our Repair a Fair Service Project will be Saturday, June 6th. Save those dates and watch for more info soon. Don't forget about the opportunity to double your Park Harris Fellow points during the district matching campaign that only happens once a year. Checks must be received by March 22nd to qualify. And you can see the flyer on your table or contact Lynn for more info. Check the calendar at LouisvilleRotary.org for upcoming committee meetings, Rotary University sessions, and more service projects and events. And if you haven't already, follow us online on Facebook, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Each week we like to have those who joined our club or rejoined our club over the past 12 months, stand to be recognized. So please, if you are one of them, stand to be recognized. Take a minute to introduce yourself to those folks. Welcome them in every time they come. We've also been learning more about our longer-term Rotarians, and I'd like to invite Dr. Susan Zepeda, Rotary Fund Director, co-chair of the District Rotary Fellowship Committee, and 2021-22 Lifetime Service Award recipient, and a major donor. Is that all? See? Come on up.
I don't know what I can say that you all don't already know, but I'm going to try and talk as fast as Barbara to fit it in my 2 minutes. Okay, I've been a Rotarian since 1980 when California clubs started letting women in. I've served as president of clubs in Santa Ana and San Luis Obispo, California, and the vice president of this club. With Rotary, I visited projects in Ghana, India, Guatemala, and El Salvador, and seeing the impact of the funds that we invest and the lives we change for the better. I believe in human rights, human dignity, service above self, and music. My dad was born in Ukraine when it was part of Tsarist Russia, and my mom was a first-generation American. I've been fortunate enough to live in 6 states and the District of Columbia, and travel to more than 30 countries on 5 continents. I'm blessed to have a supportive husband, Dr. Fred Seifer, and a blended family with 8 kids and 13 grandkids. My career path was shaped in part by 2 jobs I held at the University of Arizona in the Department of Family and Community Medicine, where Dr. Herb Abrams introduced me to public health, and in the Division of Business and Economic Research, where I worked with labor economist Lawrence Klein. Health and economics have been the 2 through lines of my career. I've led a consortium of nonprofits in Arizona, a county health department, and a small rural hospital in California, and health-focused endowed foundations in California and Kentucky. And I've had the privilege to serve on lots and lots of boards and commissions at the local, state, regional, and national level. My sweet spots in the work are coalition building and policy change work to strengthen communities and help folks live healthier lives. I've continued board service in my retirement and added a new avenue of expression, making art quilts. Currently, I chair the education committee of the Louisville Area Fiber and Textile Artists, and my work is in a show at the Outsider Art Museum and Gallery here in the Portland neighborhood of Louisville, and coming soon at the Lyric Theater in Lexington, and on my nearly brand new website, SusanZepeda.com. And for new Rotarians, I'll share a quote that I got from a very wise woman, Elmer Lucille Allen, about how to change the world. And it's very simple. Just show up. Thank you.
Wow. You do more than show up. That is clear. All right, I'm going to call Craig Cowan, a retired Egyptian clerk court judge out. He's chair of the District Peace Fellows Committee, a member of the 1912 Society, a major donor. He has an announcement. And I'd like to just say, if you haven't read this Heart and Soul article in the Rotary from February, you need to do it. It's an essay from a Peace Fellow. It's pretty impressive.
Thanks, Ken. I want to, Delaney assured me that I could see this and talk at the same time. We'll see what that happens, Delaney. I just wanted to give you a quick update and announcement about the Rotary Peace Fellows. Now, many of you may have a vague idea what it is, what it isn't, but it's part of my job, and I confess I could have done it better, but it's part of my job as District Peace Fellow Chair to help make sure everybody knows what a Rotary Peace Fellow is. There are 2 major components of it. One is a certificate program, and one is a master's degree program. Now, Rotary International, and your money pays for this, by the way, when you make contributions. Rotary International provides up to 120 fellowships a year. 120, we're talking worldwide now, not just talking Jefferson County. 120 fellowships a year to study peace and reconciliation issues. And this certificate program is 10 weeks, plus it usually takes place at a university overseas, and it has a component of in the field work. And you get a certificate in this area. So it's for mid-career people who have been committed. And the reason I'm telling you the qualification is because I'm going to need your help here. The second one is a master's degree program, and they give out 50 fellowships a year for a 12 to 18-month master's program. All this is full expense paid. This is a great thing that Rotary does to study peace and conflict resolution and reconciliation issues for professionals. For the idea is you're going to be a professional in this area. So you can go to the next one. So here's some of the eligibility programs. For the certificate program, you must have 5 years experience in the field, such as international peace organizations, refugee and immigration activities, mediation, conflict resolution, professors or teachers in the field. This is for people who are interested in and know about areas, situations, areas in Africa, the Middle East, or Asia. So if you, again, keep that in mind. And the master's degree program, I think, is a little wider. Those are for younger people who maybe have a couple of years of experience and who want master's degrees. And again, Rotary pays for this. Now this is a worldwide competition. Rotary Fund makes the selection ultimately. People are recommended, and they find out in October, November for the following year whether they've been selected or not. In Kentucky, we have had a few people selected for the certificate program. Most recently, someone who worked at the Kentucky Refugee Ministries was in the certificate program back in the COVID years. But we haven't had enough applications, and that's where you come in. And if you can switch the slide, what can you do? If you know people, young people, could be mid-career people, who are in this general area, this general knowledge area or professional area, suggest to them that they might look into this and possibility of applying, because it enhances your education, and it's a good thing to have a resume, and it makes broader contacts. So that's what we like to do. We, as I said, haven't had a lot of people from Kentucky. We want people from Kentucky. Our job as a district, we have a committee put together, and earlier Rick is, Harn's on all the committees. Rick and David Graves and Steve is also, Rugworth has also agreed to help. And then we have some people from out in the state, because it's a district-wide, 6710 district-wide. So that's the story. So I hope that you'll think about this and be aware of it and pass this information along at appropriate times. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Gordon. Before I invite Rick Carney up to introduce our speaker, I just want to give you a heads up. Barbara's going to finish today's meeting. I have to go to a family funeral at the less than an hour access to the pledge. Rick is our District 6710 Assistant Governor, Vice Chair of the District International Service and Global Grants Committees, Co-Chair of the Club's Youth and Education Committee, the 2010-11 Lifetime Service Award winner, 24-25 Rotarian of the Year, and a major donor.
Thanks so much, President Jim. Youth development and community building have been at the center of Lynn Rippy's whole career. These two ideas go together clearly, just like our famous twin spires, because young people who lack skills and a sense of purpose in what they want to do are often a major source of disruption within our communities. Early on, Lynn was Recreation Administrator for Metro Parks and served in managing urban community centers and some summer camp programs. She's a graduate of Louisville, Jefferson Community College, and the University of Louisville. In 2001, she became president and CEO of Youth Build Louisville, focused on helping young adults who didn't quite fit into the traditional education system for whatever reason, helping them earn a GED and get serious construction skills to provide a career path. I first met her in 2010, the last time she spoke to our club, and when Youth Build was working out of the JCC offices on West Chestnut Street. Shortly after that, she moved to Preston Street and began building a very impressive campus, an urban campus that incorporates a whole block. It was very impressive working. At the same time, the Youth Build began diversifying into other different training areas, culinary arts, in nursing assistantship, energy efficiency, apartment management, hazardous materials handling, and many more. They offer a wide range of opportunities for young people. They are transforming Smoketown and that whole neighborhood and its residents, including working with the new community center that they built, the housing that they built, and their growth has made the recent rebranding as Blueprint 502 almost inevitable because of the wide range of programs and plans that they are working on. Many Louisville and national bodies have recognized the work that Lynn has been doing, including Business First, which just last year named her the most admired CEO in Louisville. She served on the board of Kentucky Youth Advocates, the River City Drum Corps, United Christian, Crescent Hill Ministries, and other organizations. She's really changing our urban environment. And we can all learn a lot from her.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me today. I feel like it's Old Home Week anyway. I was writing down as we were going along. We work with Alice on the Alberta Oak Jones Park. We work, I didn't see you back there, sorry. We work with, we have a young person, one of our staffers who's in the Alice Youth Leadership Program right now that you just mentioned. Maggie Harlow worked with her son with us to make sure that we have the new signage on the side of our community center. Henry he worked with us early on to get the environmental corps up on its feet. Rick and Mary Ellen have been donors to our program for years, and it just goes on and on. This whole room, if I started again, I would, I could. But anyway, I really want to talk to you today about what we're up to now because we've expanded drastically over the last 5 years. I think a lot of folks took a beat during COVID. We did not. We started running, and we have been running ever since. So we have a monthly Building Loves Luncheon. We would love for you to bring folks to. There's no commitment. You just come, eat, and hear about us and what we're up to. And there are, on your table, there are little cards, little business cards that talk about the dates of the Building Loves Luncheon. So we rebranded this last year. We wanted folks to know more about what we were up to. And that really is building brighter futures for young people, one blueprint at a time. And Rick mentioned, I started my career at the Parks Department, and all along the way, I realized that if you don't deal with young people one person at a time, one issue at a time with them, that you were really just brushing over things, that you were not able to continue the deep work that you needed to do with them. So our mission is to make sure that we stand beside young people. We don't do the work for them, we stand beside them and offer them resources and opportunities to be productive young people in this world building sustainable communities. That's what we do. And we do that in a number of different ways, and hopefully by the end of this, you'll know what they are. So, and I haven't clicked, are you clicking for me?
I did that back.
Look at you. So, who we start? We work with young people 11 to 24. It was 18 to 24 for years. And then during COVID, we really did realize that the Smoketown neighborhood was struggling mightily, and the young people in it were struggling mightily, especially the 13 to 15-year-olds. So we have, since that time, built a community center, as Rick said, in the neighborhood for those young people to make sure just that 11 to 17-year-olds have some place to go, have people around them who love them, make sure that they're fed every day, so we do Kids Cafe there. We have added, so we've added these teenagers to our list of young people that we serve. Opportunity, who are they? They're young people who are not connected to employment or not connected to school. So they haven't finished school in most cases, they're traditional high school, and then they also are not connected to jobs. And our job is to reconnect them to both of those things, to ensure that they are able to move on to college if they want to, or an apprenticeship program if they want to, but also to make sure that they are able to begin to make money for themselves, because you cannot do anything else if you're not able to sustain yourself. Last year we served 3,700 young people, and those were through a myriad of programs, which we'll talk about in a second. But we do it in a particular way. We make sure that young folks feel included in what they're doing, included in their decision about how they're moving forward in life, that we take every young person individually and work through a trauma-informed care proposition with them, realizing that many of them have experienced trauma in their lives, and you cannot ignore that. It's relationship-centered, so it is one young person at a time, and it's community-driven, that we know they don't come to us as a single person with no other baggage. There's a community all around them, and we have to recognize what's going on in the community. So, I talked a little bit about Opportunity Youth, so we don't need to go through that again. Our strategy really is to stabilize them first. If they do not have a place to live or a roof over their head, there's not much else we can ask them to do every single day if that's not happening. We really try to make sure that we provide them on-ramps to services, and not just the GED and certifications, but other social services in the community that people are providing that they might not have an understanding about how to get to. We develop career pathways, and those are really set up based on what the community is saying to us that they need. So construction was our base program, but then there were healthcare folks that came to us and said, we need more CNAs, we need young people to enter the workforce in the medical side, and our young people, frankly, were leaving us with a construction certification, but they wanted to serve people in a different way. And then the college connection for them and the apprenticeship connection to them. Those are really our strategies for the young folks that we serve. So, how do we get here? As Rick said, we started in 2000 in Jefferson Community and Technical College. We had 2 tiny little rooms there, and we were grateful for them. And that beginning really came from the young people that I had served for years. Those young people came in, they wrote our bylaws, our original bylaws, they worked with us to make sure that everything we did, they had a voice in. And we went from there, and it's history now, but 25 years later, we have provided the Youth Build program every year. In 2010, I think 27 is when really we started working on the environmental program. And we, in earnest, opened it in about 2000. We rebranded last year, and we are hoping that takes us in to the next 50 years. Couple things we know for sure. That young people cannot build futures if they don't have foundations. They can't. And some of them, many of them, come to us without those basic foundational skills. But as I said before, they cannot live without a place to stay. We recognize that, we wrote a grant, the first one was funded, and now we serve about 100 young people a day in housing. So we have them out into apartments in this community. And those young folks come directly through the Coalition for the Homeless. They're certified there and come to us. We're proud of that work, we are. And in connection to that work, none of those young people are in a housing that do not have a case manager. We case manage all of them. They're in for a year, up to 2 years they could be. We hope they're a year. And during that time, they have a graduated payment schedule so that they begin to understand what rent looks like and that they're responsible for it. Care for the land, as I said before, that's really been in our DNA since the beginning. We've grown our own food since we started. And that's one of the things that young people have gotten into. They've planted a ton of trees. We're well over 5,000 trees that we planted in the city core now. And we worked directly with Alice to help build the farm at the Alberta O. Jones Park. So we'll be farming 3 acres of land there. And that particular program is in its 6th year now, and we are up to 20 young people that will be working with us per year. So those are kids who graduate from high school but really want to work the land. So the community needs young people, and young people need to work. So our job is to train them to get into these jobs and also follow them a little bit and make sure they have a good mentor in their workplace to make sure that that's a soft landing for them into an area where many of them are not connected beforehand. We have managed the Summer Works program for the last 10 years for Kentuckiana Works. And this last year, 2,700 young people signed up for that program for 4,500 jobs that you and people like you put on the jobs board. Right now, the jobs board is open for this summer, so please, if you have a job for a young person 16 to 21 and you'd be willing to take a chance on them, go to summerworks.org and sign up so that young people can get into employment this summer. And this is just a little bit of, this is our campus on the corner of College and Preston. And then we've also, so you can see how it's grown. We started there in a little bitty building and a bunch of rocks. And this is what it looks like now. It's beautiful. And any given day, we'll have about 100 kids in this building going to programs and so forth. And then at the community center, another 100 kids a day. So I'm going to stop. Well, let me do this next one. Here's a new community center. I know you guys see this. You come in town, you come down Breckenridge, East Breckenridge, and you've seen that building change on the corner of Hancock and Breckenridge. That's what we're talking about today. Behind that is the laundromat. None of this happened in a vacuum. We talked to the community. We asked the community what they wanted and needed, and they said businesses and a place for our young people to thrive. And that's our response to it is this, the community center and a laundromat in the neighborhood. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to let you guys ask questions. I think Barbara said, you come up here with me. And Barbara too. I mean, when Barbara was in public office, and when she was not in public office, she has been a cheerleader for me and for this organization all along. So thank you so much for giving me a chance to talk to you a little bit today, and I'd be happy to take questions.
President Ken, you are going to be on your way, sir, and safe travels. Let one of us know when you land. I'll feel a lot more comfortable about that. So, Lynn, I first met you sitting in the back of the room at the convention center more than 25 years ago when we were there listening to the West Louisville Boys Choir sing. And Lynn leaned over and looked at me and said, these are amazing young men, and you and I can do some great work together. And by golly, the rest is history on that whole group. So thank you for believing in all these young folks, young men and young women in our community. So fellow Rotarians, as you see the line is starting to form, make your way over to the microphone and ask Lynn a question. And as we prepare for my year as president, I'm going to ask us to model what we see for our Q&A rules. I know we can do it. So that means no speeches. They're going to ask you questions, and then you'll be here for a few minutes afterwards if someone wants to come up and talk with you. All right.
I'm Cliff Elgin. I'm curious, are the local trade unions working with you?
We have been fortunate to be able to work with the plumbers union. I would say probably not as much with other unions. Part of the reason I think is that young people need a little more time in the tank when they started a union, maybe, I don't know. But it has been much more successful for us to work with private business for placements for our young people and to get them a mentorship. That's just honest.
President-elect Barbara, I hope I'm not breaking the rules with this. I do have a question, but I wanted to start with celebrating my dear friend, Lynn Rippy. And Lynn is someone who has known and worked with you since your days at the Global Youth Alliance and being there with you at the foundational stages of what became Youth Build Louisville now, Blueprint 502. I just want to say I'm extremely proud of everything that you've done over your years and what you continue to do for our community. So I just want to say thank you. My question is, what's next? What's the vision for the future?
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kevin, and it's been a pleasure to work with you two over the years. What's next for me is I've got a little more time that I can dedicate to this work. I will always, until I close my eyes and have that last breath, work for young people in this community who do not have the resources, were not born into the resources they needed, and do not have the things that they need to move forward in life. Ending poverty is an amazing thing, and it happens when you provide young people the love, the dedication, the resources, and the training that they need to move forward. It changes lives. Christmas morning, I don't know if I'll be over 30 seconds, but Christmas morning is my favorite time because I can get on my phone after my kids open their presents. I can get on my phone and see all of the changes in the young people who have families now. This last year, a couple of my young people from the first class of Youth Build, their kids graduated from college. So, I mean, those are changes, people. That's different.
Just to clarify, the 30-second limit is for us, not you, so please wax on, keep going. It's amazing.
I'm a rule follower.
It's for us, not you, it doesn't apply. But you're creating generational change, so thank you for what you're doing. Can you talk a little bit about your support system? So your staff, how big is it? When you talk about case management, what does that look like? How many are on their case? How are you handling all of these lives that you're changing?
Yeah. So we have 44 full-time staff and a number of part-time staff. We have case managers for all the young people in housing, all the people in the Youth Build program, and many of the young people at the community center now. They usually have a caseload of about 25, in answer to your question, depending on how long they've been doing that work, and some of them can take more, but those who are new, typically about 20. And I think where we're heading really is we have to continue to support young people in this community. We have to be committed to ending poverty in this country. We have to do it. We have to do it. We're all suffering when we don't.
Hi, Julie James. It's great to have you here, Lynn. My question to you, I see some information at our table, but how can we as Rotarians help?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, there are a number of ways. We would love for you to tutor. I see that you're tutoring younger people, that would be awesome, but we have, in the fall, we'll have 44 young people working on earning their high school diploma and GED. Those young people, many of whom need one-on-one support. And we can put one person next to them working on math, and so that they can pass that test. I'm telling you, there's trigonometry and everything else in the GED, so it's not easy. So definitely could use tutors. We could use folks on our board from time to time. We just built up the board, so next year we'll be bringing a whole new group of about 5 new people onto our board. We would love for you to attend our events, because those are the ways that we raise a little bit of money to be able to do the work we do. The next one is April 17th. It's on our campus. It's a garden party, and we just come out, have music and dance and have a good time, and get to meet people in the neighborhood, get to meet our young people. They will cater that event. So the culinary class caters most of our events. And then next year, we will send you all a note, but in December, the first Wednesday in December, we have our breakfast. And if you haven't been, you need to come, because when a young person tells their story of their life change and transformation, you do not walk away the same person.
Thank you. My name is Larry Sloan, and I'm the vice chair of the Lifeline Committee, which you can imagine what that means, a lot of different things. And you're certainly throwing a lifeline to these youth. I'm curious about exactly what the Coalition for Housing does and how that works. And do you work with any other organizations like Goodwill or Volunteers of America?
Absolutely. We are a daily partner of the Goodwill and the One Stop Center. And our young people are co-enrolled. So when a young person is enrolled into our program, they are enrolled into their program as well, so that they can receive additional training on how to get a job, what job skills are, soft skills, and they support the young people in other ways. So for our young people who are in our apartment maintenance technician program, and the young people who are in construction, and also in CNA, they support them by providing them the tuition they need to go to the next level for the next class. So absolutely, Goodwill is like a major partner, thank you. And we, let's see, what was the other part of your question?
Coalition for the Homeless.
Oh, Coalition, well, you said housing, Coalition for Housing, and they're different, so there are two. There's a Coalition for Housing and there's Coalition for Homeless. We work with both of them, but the Coalition for the Homeless is our primary partner on the homeless side. So what will happen is, young people will either go to them or one of the partners in the community and say, I'm homeless and I need help. And they will help them fill out a form, an assessment form, and there's a score on there. It's sad to say, but there's a score on there, and the higher their score, the more likely they are to get into housing. So it really depends on all of the things that they have experienced up to now, domestic violence, all of those things. So once they go through that, and sometimes we send young people over to take their assessment, but once that assessment comes through their system, then they come up as eligible and they will refer them to us. And once they're referred to us, then we start working with the young person and looking for housing.
Thank you.
Yes. And there's a wonderful man next door to us on College who bought a building, and he said, what are you doing over there? And so I told him, and he said, well, do you need apartments? Yes. He has turned that building over into apartments for us, so that, especially though in those particular apartments, are young people who are coming out of foster care who are homeless.
Well, you segued into my first of two questions.
Okay.
One was I was curious about, I'm Dan High School, I was curious about what the percentage was of young people that are in foster care or graduating from foster care. That's number one. And then number two, you mentioned a lot of blue collar trades. I think you might have mentioned property management. Are there any white collar trades or any trades that, or industries that you would like to see be developed for these young people? And thank you.
Yes, thank you. We have a number of young people who would love to go directly into college, and those young people, as they graduate college, primarily, I would say, they start with their CNA in medical field so that they can work while they're going to school. Another would be that we're working on with the apartment maintenance, the apartment folks, Rural Apartment Association, is how do they work in the offices that for rent-ups and to manage apartment houses. So we have a couple of young people who are moving into those jobs as well that don't want to do the construction side of it, but are really interested in doing that kind of work. And then, I have engineers now. So they're kids who have worked their way all the way up, and they're doing amazing jobs. One that just retired the other day from MSD. I'm like, wow, am I still working in this business? But anyway.
Lynn, thank you so much for all that you do with the young people, and I know what an incredibly difficult job it must be. My question is specifically, though, relates to young people who've gotten caught up in the criminal justice system, whether you intersect with that in any way in terms of probation or supervision or dealing with them in some other way.
Yes, that's a great question. And we do, and we have made the decision not to take a young person who is required by the courts to come to us because they're coming because they're required. We want young people to want to be there. We want them to make that choice on their own. But we go to court with them. I can tell you this beautiful story, and I will tell you the story. It's crazy. But there's a young man who couldn't look up, couldn't look him in the eye. He had been in prison for 4 years when he came to us. And he had to go back to court for one more time. And when he did, the judge, I was able to speak. And I took his accomplishments with me, truly they were that big. And I said to the judge, I don't understand what benefit anybody has about putting this young man back in prison. It doesn't make sense to me, and what I'd like to do is I'll let you take a look at this and then tell me, why in the world that would be a good place for him. She's crying, I'm crying, he's crying, the courtroom's crying, and she said, take him home, take him. Well, this young man has been with MSD for the last 10 years. He has moved up 3 times since he's been there. That is about training young people to be leaders and knowing where, and help them decide where they're heading. And, so he's on our board now, so.
Lynn, thanks so much for all you do. It's incredibly meaningful for us at the Parks Alliance to partner with Blueprint 502. I think part of the genius of what you've done is your willingness and ability to evolve to meet needs. And I wonder if you'd say a little bit about the credentials that the participants are coming out of these programs with, including your new drone training program, which I think would be very interesting. And then, since no one else is behind me, if you'll talk a little bit about the challenge of funding and how all this uncertainty has really caused a great deal of stress in keeping these programs going.
Yes. Well, I'm going to finish answering another man's question. We have about 25% of our kids are foster care kids, just so you know. Yes. So we have certification in construction, so that's framing certification. Young people are leaving us as basic framers. A construction company will tell you that somebody needs time in the tank for 4 years before they can be a good framer. So when young people leave us, they have basic framing. In environmental ed, our young people leave us with a great understanding around botany. They learn about arboriculture, horticulture, pesticides, and so we are just starting a new certification with K-State University with that particular program. CNA is a basic certification with the board. You have to pass your boards at the state level to be able to get your final certification in CNA, Certified Nursing Assistant. We also have certifications at the state level with the Restaurant Association and the Restaurant Association for Restaurant Ready and Safe Serve, so they can healthily go into a restaurant and work. Many of our young people want their own businesses, and so they're learning a lot about how to learn what they need to know to be able to start a business. And then let's see, so certified apartment maintenance technician comes through the National Apartment Association, and you have to learn about how to change a trap in your bathroom, you know, all the things we all need to know how to do, so we don't have to spend $600 for a plumber to come out and change a trap. So, but they do basic electricity work. They also will learn how to change out a cabinet, put in a light switch, and that particular certification is one that really you can move anywhere with it, anywhere across the country. The blueprint, the brownfield certification is a basic certification on assessment and remediation of brownfields. And we have some amazing stories of young people who've been placed in local remediation organizations and how they have let these young people move up the ranks. So it's exciting. I will say, I think that's it. But, well, y'all turn on the TV, don't you? Okay. And you all know what I'm getting ready to say. It's the first couple weeks of this administration was hysterical, framing, we all petrified. So one day, everything turned off. You know, like, do not think about putting in a request for payment because they're all closed. So, you know, I just said, take a beat, we're fine, don't worry about it, go do what you're supposed to be doing to staff, and inside I was biting my nails down and trying to figure out what is next. Because we have about $7 million that comes into this community from the federal government to support these programs overall, a year. I mean, so that's big. That's the big engine that we're creating here for this community, but also that's a lot of services that would be turned off that very day. So we were already working on a different kind of business strategy, but we are really in fast gear about that now. We are looking at national foundations that are not connected to the government. We're looking at local foundations that are not connected. We're looking at individual donors, planned giving, major gifts. So all of those things are, we have a new director of development. Pat is our new CFO. So I think, and you know, so we're rolling. Now, I think you have to have your eyes wide open and watch for every single opportunity and resource, and I do that. You know, don't start talking to me about something if you don't have a job or some way to support. You know, because it does. We have to be focused on young people. All right. Thank you.
All right. So I think it's pretty obvious to see when you have an incredible, strong executive leader who has a vision, a solid board, and you are mission focused. Nothing will stop her from serving the community that she has chosen to serve. So our first gift for you today is, we as Rotarians here in Louisville, we will continue, Rotarians, to step up and step out and serve in many ways. Some are directly related to our youth and young people, and we have many service opportunities in a wide variety of areas in our community. But our second gift is tangible. Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. President Ken, in his presidential year, has stepped up and he has a Rotary four-way test challenge coin that he presents to every speaker. So you can carry this with you, and it shows that we protect our legacy of our founder of February 5th of 1905. In case that shows up on a test somewhere, pull this out of your pocket. All right? And then, in case somebody asks you about that four-way test thing, since they know that you spoke at Rotary, because this thing goes viral, we've been over here videoing it, the news might ask about it, you just whip this little coin out, and you have the four-way test right there. And I know you already live it. So thank you very much. All right, fellow Rotarians, we have just a couple of moments left, and as I think about this opportunity, I will take a point of privilege here at the microphone. Because of the things that Fred said, we saw two amazing opportunities that many Rotarians didn't even realize exist. Surely we've got folks in Jefferson County that this club can sponsor to help them step up and do that. And then we heard from Lynn and all of the young people that she is helping. And she's doing this through her purpose in life. And I wanted to say to you all, I believe that each and every one of us, we find our purpose in life by our service to others. So that is my tee up for this commercial. I have learned more in the last 3 or 4 years about Rotary than I have in decades about how in the heck do you get on a committee? How do you become a vice chair? How do you become a chair? How do you become a co-chair? And how do you get onto the Rotary Club of Louisville Board of Directors or on the Rotary Fund Board? Kenya, I had no idea how all that worked, all right? I've learned in this last year. So here's my request. Raise your hand if you have ever been a committee chair or a committee vice chair. Let's see. Holy smokes. Okay, wait a minute. This is too good to be true. Turn your hands around and pat yourself on the back. Okay? I couldn't resist that. Now, I know the rest is, but I need to see it because I'm very visually oriented. If you would, raise your hand because I am out recruiting and I need to know where you are. Raise your hand if you've not ever been able to serve yet as a vice chair or committee chair. I know, y'all, I won't come after you hard. Well, wait. I might. Okay, so very good. So with that, I'm going to show you all something. This goes for everybody who has served, everybody who's currently serving, and all of those of you who have not served. If you've not served, you have to have served as a vice chair or a chair or a co-chair of one of our 35 committees. We got them for everything, all right? You have to have done that before you can go onto this spreadsheet that we keep that shows you as a candidate for consideration to be on the board of directors or to be on the Rotary Fund Board, all right? Because Deline had to stop me last September when I was running around recruiting all kind of people to be on the Rotary Board, and she said, hold on, partner. You got to make sure these folks have served. So Deline, thank you for that, and thank you for your patience. Yeah, get Deline a round of applause. I am a lean, mean recruiting machine now. So I've got a handy-dandy spreadsheet right up here, and it's got a column that says, yes, I'm interested. That doesn't mean you're saying I'll definitely do it. It just tells me you're interested because I know we're going to have a whole lot more people, Fred, interested now after your comments and Lynn's and hopefully my commercial here. I need to know who wants to be considered to serve. I spent yesterday, I made 25 phone calls, 23 people picked up and actually talked to me. Thank you, you know who you are. And every one of them said yes. It was exciting, all right? But I have some opportunities. So please see me after the meeting if you have any questions about that, because I will then, as your president-elect, my next obligation and responsibility is I must present a full spreadsheet to the full Rotary Club of Louisville Board of Directors on March 25th to get my recommendations approved, all right? So please send me in there with a full spreadsheet, all right? I know we can do it. So succession planning is going to be my focus this year and all during my presidency because I believe in every role I've ever taken on, and you've seen me rewire 7 times in this community and CEO jobs. The very first condition that I lay out when I am recruited for a role, and I did the same thing with this one, is I get to start day one looking for my replacement. I think that's how we have to do this. We always have to find another leader that's going to come in and step beside you or step in when it's your time to step over. And lastly, how many of you have ever heard of Build-A-Bear? Okay, so I got to meet that guy that created that company on an art visit out in Seattle several years ago, and I came home and the Fund for the Arts was going through a very difficult period. So the board of directors asked me to create a unique strategy for board development, for vice chair development, for chair recruitment. So I came up with Build a Board. You step up, you step over, you step down. So take your pick. Fellow Rotarians, our speaker next week is going to be none other than President and CEO Gary Cobbs, fellow Rotarian who moved here recently, and he is President and CEO of the Greater Louisville YMCA, and boy, does he have a story to tell. Scan the code, sign up, hope you're here, bring guests,
And my favorite thing is to ring this bell really loud. We are adjourned.